Hi, FEC K to 3rd graders, and here we are at December the 12th, and we are about halfway through our Christmas tree candy countdown and about halfway through our stories, and it has been fun coming up with all of these books for you. But the book that I have for you today is called The Lights in the Church, and it's not really a Christmas book. It happens in winter, and two little kids get lost, and they end up at a church, and they start looking at the beautiful stained glass windows that show beautiful pictures. And so at St. Paul's we have a lot of those stained glass windows, and I encourage you to look at the pictures sometime. But for today I am going to read The Lights in the Church by Marilyn Joy Mayfield. They had wandered too long in the unknown park. The sun had gone down and it was getting dark. As the night fell, the air soon turned cold. The boy held out his hand for his sister to hold. "I'm scared," she said as she looked all around. "We'll be fine," he said. "Look, see the tracks in the ground?" There in the snow there were prints for them to follow. Where the deer had walked, the snow was now hollow. So they started to walk with hoofprints as their guide to find a place for the night where they could both hide. They soon came upon a circle of very tall trees. The snow was so dense it came up to their knees. A family of deer walked up close to see who these two-legged creatures could possibly be. They had never seen children, so they wanted to know why they were there and stuck in the snow. "I think those are the deer that made the tracks here. If we follow where they go, we'll have nothing to fear." The boy spoke softly, and his sister nodded her head. They both wished they were home and tucked into bed. So they both kept walking and following the deer. Then there was a bright light, and the path became clear. The stars were sparkling gems in the sky, and more animals followed as the children walked by. Up ahead in a clearing shone splendid rays of light. It was a beautiful church, a beacon in the night. They looked at God's beauty that was all around. They forgot they were lost. Inner peace was soon found. The boy said, "Inside the church we'll be safe and sound." But when they got to the entrance, no one was around. And yet the place was lit with an angelic light. It seemed so heavenly, though it was locked up tight. As they walked to a window, something amazing occurred. The stained glass appeared to be moving, and the hymns could be heard. As they slowly looked up, they saw the first story. It was Christ's first miracle in all of his glory. A wedding had started, and he was a guest. Then his mother Mary came and made a request. "Please help the bride and groom on their special day. They've run out of wine and are in dismay." The servers poured water into 6 jars of stone. For Christ's request, then they left them alone. With a wave of his hand and a miracle divine, he turned the plain water into sweet-tasting wine. "How did Jesus do that?" the wide-eyed girl asked her brother. The boy said, "By the grace of God, and to please his mother." That's the kind of love I have for Mom and Dad, like the hugs they give us, even after we are bad. They walked further down, and a new window came into view. with bright rays of light that warmly streamed through. There they saw Jesus, who was surrounded by a crowd, as he spoke of God's kingdom clearly and loud. Then Christ's disciples came up to him to speak. "Lord, we've been here many hours, and the people feel weak. They are tired and hungry. It's been a very long day. We can't feed them all. We must send them away." Jesus asked, "We don't have enough food?" "But they all can stay." The disciples replied, "There's not enough to feed 5,000 today." Jesus said, "Bring what you have to me. This is my wish." They delivered 5 loaves of bread and 2 small fish. Jesus touched the food, gazed to heaven, and prayed. And soon his God-given powers were proudly displayed. The disciples began to feed all who were there, and as the food multiplied, there was plenty to share. All the people were happy. It was a blessing to each. They stayed many hours and listened to Jesus teach. The boy smiled to his sister. Jesus gives us what we need. Just as he fed the hungry crowd, he'll provide if we believe. The snow began to fall as the children continued to walk. The miracle of the windows soon silenced their talk. The 3rd story showed the beginnings of a huge storm. The disciples were huddled together in a boat to stay warm. Jesus prayed on the shore as the winds started to blow. As the storm became stronger, fear began to grow. Through crashing waves, Jesus ventured out toward the boat. He walked on the water just like he was on top of a float. At first, the disciples thought they were seeing a ghost, not a man. But little did they know it was part of Christ's plan. This miracle was about having faith to overcome doubt. Jesus said, "Don't be afraid. I am your Lord. Just walk out." Peter bravely said, "I will walk out to you, Lord." And at the beginning his courage had soared. But he began to sink as the waves crashed and the wind blew. He became scared and he didn't know what to do. He cried out, "Lord, save me. Please give me your hand." Jesus grabbed him, but he wanted Peter to understand. Jesus asked, "What happened? You were walking out to me. If you'd only kept faith, you could walk. Can't you see?" The girl spoke. "We should have faith that we'll be safe too." "Yes," said her brother, "even when it's not easy to do." What do you think the next story will be? They were excited as they walked to the 4th window to see. The scene came alive and they saw Jesus entering a city. 10 lepers approached him and he cried out, "Lord, have pity. You shall all be healed." Jesus smiled with emotion. "Now go to the church and express your devotion." One of the men rushed back to give thanks. He was cured. "I'm so grateful, Lord. You've made my prayers heard. It's thanks to you that I'm completely healed." At Christ's feet he bowed his head and kneeled. "Where are the others?" Jesus asked. "You are the only grateful soul? I thank you for returning. Your faith has made you whole." The girl looked at her brother. "I'm thankful to be with you." "Me too," he smiled. "Giving thanks is what we should do." A 5th, lively window lit up for the children to view. They walked further in the snow to a scene marvelous and new. There were lots of families living their lives day to day as they served the Lord at work, at home, and at play. Then the scene changed and they suddenly realized their own family was pictured. They couldn't believe their eyes. The girl smiled. "It's Mom and Dad, and we're there too." The boy grinned, and Jesus is blessing us in this beautiful view. There was only one window that was left to see. The children couldn't imagine just what it might be. The choir sang loudly and a rainbow of light poured through. From around the world they saw what Christians could do. All races and nations were gladly helping out to save others from sickness, from fear, and from doubt. And as they brought joy, Jesus Christ could be found there in every little gesture of kindness and care. Then the church doors opened, and they saw Mom and Dad. Their mom hugged them both. "You're safe. We're so glad." Their dad smiled. "You know that you shouldn't wander away. Next time you must stay closer to us when you play." The girl nodded. "Can we go home now? I can't wait to get into bed." Their mom laughed. "Yes, honey, you're such a sleepy head." "But first," their dad said, "the church doors are open wide. So let's go say a quick prayer of thanks inside." The four of them walked in and knelt down in a pew, and they prayed and gave thanks for all they'd been through. After getting home, and through years of happiness and laughter, they remembered the special church forever thereafter. So I hope you enjoyed our story, The Lights in the Church, that tells all about the different things that Jesus did after he had grown up and become a man. And those things are so important. We focus on the baby in the manger. Sometimes we forget that middle part in his life before he died on the cross. So I hope you remember some of those fun stories, and maybe you'll read some of them at Christmas. So I hope you have a great evening, and I'll see you tomorrow.